Hey people, Shaman Hawk here for Shamanic Lodge. I want to give everybody a little bit of a reality check when it comes to online shamanic courses, especially the ones to become the shaman, online apprenticeship. People, I compare this to being like online course to become like a surgeon, an engineer. No, it's just plain and simple no. It has to have a lot of online, or on hands-on kind of experience and look, a lot of the things that my apprentices do with me, they'll be with me when I'm working on someone, working with someone, sit there during an appointment and just listen, not say a thing, no facial expressions, just absorb the, watch how I get into the people, how I get into the issues, how I change to respond to the person and the issues, how I play the part I need to be for that person at that particular moment. And then I talk to the apprentice about that, get their feedback, what they saw, and I tell them how I was thinking. See, it's like being there. If you want to be a surgeon, you go through all the medical school, of course. You want to need to know about the body, but then you're going to watch the surgery. You're going to be doing some of the first steps of the first entry into the body or something. To be an electrician, you're going to learn about electricity. You're going to get shocked with small voltages before you release large voltages and handle that going into houses and buildings and so on. The same thing with these courses. You cannot sit there at home and become the competent shaman to where you have the capabilities. I don't care how many certificates and diplomas you put on your I love me wall in your new age office or cubicle or whatever. That doesn't mean anything, people. Okay, would you trust, like I said, the engineer, the surgeon, the psychologist, psychotherapist, without any type of formal training? No, I would hope not. Now, there are some people out there that have these gifts, okay, and there's no disputing that, and I've worked with a lot of them. But they were really tuned into one particular angle of that shamanic quality of their life. And just like any of the other skilled trades, you could say, well, this person really is good at building Lego houses. Well, that's wonderful. And they can even do a Lego bridge. Can you walk on it? No, probably not. Why? They need to understand why. And the same thing in shamanism. You need to understand the whys of people. There's a lot of formal study. I've studied a lot of medical books. I've read lots of texts on psychology, psychiatry. I have read some engineering. I've worked in the construction field over, almost 50 years now. My God. And I've worked with people. I've worked on bodies, as a combat medic. I've done all this stuff. So, and there was a piece of my shamanism that also went into that. My daughters grew up in shamanism, and they use that in their professions. 2 of them are medics. But you can't sit there and take these courses and, like I said, just think you're ready to go out there into the world and change people's lives if you have no hands-on experience in life. The other part about real shamanism, compared to New Age foo-foo stuff, you have to be in good physical condition. In the end of the day, all energy eventually resonates on the physical body, and the physical body needs to be able to take that and transmute that and release any other adverse effects and reactions to the type of work that you do. There's one woman in Dusseldorf, Germany, at one of my lectures that says, I just wouldn't go anywhere where there's negative energy. That's where it's needed the most. That's where the shamanism is really needed the most. I've lived through 4 war zones, and God, I'd have to sit back and count how many natural disasters I went in before, during, and after. But that's where it's really needed, and you got to be able to be in those environments. If you were to compare shamanism into military life, we're the elite forces of it. There's plenty of new age people that can go out there and do all kinds of things and be 50, 60, 100 pounds overweight and have all kinds of addictive habits. They could be good readers. You can get a good reading from that person. When it comes to actually the working of the energies and manipulations, forget it. You have to be in strong physical condition to do that, period. And a healthy lifestyle. When I tell people no addictions, and they're just like, well, yeah, I can see crack and heroin, but what about tobacco? Nicotine sulfate's a horrible nerve agent. And if you have to really focus on relieving an addiction to lessen the effects of a chemical withdrawal, all right, you're not putting yourself where you need to be 100% of the time, period. You know, with the surgeon, oh, I think I need to go out for a smoke break. Oh, I forgot to put my patch on. No. So that's another. And you don't read these. When people send me these links to these courses and say, hey, what do you think about this? I look at the people who are allegedly teachers and staff, and I tell the people who send me these links, write them a question, especially in like your shamanic healer course. How many people have you dealt with that were given a death date by the doctor? Where the doctor said, oh, you got about 2 months to live. Sorry, can't do anything for you after we poisoned you, radioactive you, giving you all the pharmaceutical drugs that trashed your liver, kidneys, and whatever. How many people do you get like that, and what were the results? I could sit down and tell you a lot of these stories. I can tell you 6 cancer patients I worked with just in the 5 years I was working in Eastern Europe from 2015 to 2020, and years before that. So there has to be some proof of efficiency in these people's ability to teach you about shamanism. Where did they learn? What was their apprenticeship like? Did they serve an apprenticeship, or they just channel the information from their spirit guides? A lot of these courses focus on a lot of hype. It's kind of like reading shamanic books. When you look in the back and it says sources, that basically, I got my information from my book from these people. I plagiarized it, basically what they're saying. And they have to admit that by law. That's why it's in that section of the book in the back. Your shamanic apprenticeship is going to be hands-on. And even nowadays with the traveling and all that, it was like we were doing it by Zoom. So you can have a Zoom course. I could be doing one conversation with a person, an appointment on a Zoom call or a conference call, and have apprentices listening to it and watching it. And watching and saying, it's not that much different other than actually being there with the person. But when you're reading on these links of what all these people will offer you in these courses, be that 4-year-old that's always going, why, how, when, and get answers. I've done videos on Test the Shaman. Test them. Especially when you're getting ready to pay for this stuff. And some of these prices on these things are high. And I look at when I'm reading the material of what they're on, it's like it's vague at best. Don't do it. I can understand why they put the prices in there, because people will take up a lot of time. I spend a lot of time talking to people if I'm in between, if it's raining out or something like that, and people basically want an hour or 2 of your time for nothing. So I can understand why people put these prices in there, because the other fallacy, unfortunately, that people believe, if it's not expensive, it's not good. And I've had the same thing where somebody was saying they're totally in distress. I give them a quick reading for free, and they go out and pay 2 other people a high price and say, well, they said the same thing you did. It's like, okay, just one more reminder, right? I have not in, I want to say at least 30 years, since the since AOL was coming out. Remember that one? And chat rooms and things like that. I haven't seen anybody with any online course that was anything worth paying. Not that I would recommend anybody to. There's 2 shamans that I've trained, Shamanic Woman on Instagram and Healers of Earth on Instagram. You could trust in them because they went through full apprenticeships and they're good at what they do. Do they offer the structured courses? No. And again, let me tell you one other thing that's really important about this is if you do a structured course, it's real generic, people will get something out of it, no doubt. As a matter of fact, if you want to sign up for one of these other, you'll get something out of it. You could get some life improvements out of that. Of course you will. Because you're obviously not happy where you are now. Otherwise, you wouldn't be looking at this course. So almost anything would improve your life, right? The thing of it is you get a lot of these people that bounce from course to course to course, and then nothing in their life really changes in any depth, just on the surface. And that's why. Because the real shamanic apprenticeship and the course is about the interaction. As one guy sent me a link, this past week. You can write in questions, but there's no one to call and talk to. And sometimes just that 10-minute conversation when that person's going through that apprenticeship or the course or even just a personal issue, as people will do in apprenticeships, you need that quick phone call to just shoot holes in some theories, some fears, some as they shed one layer of old dysfunctional programming, the layer underneath feels a little raw and they need a little bit of coaching to go through that. But you can't get that through a lot of these schools unless they want to charge you, $1 a minute for something like that, which isn't a bad price if you're going to be a quick phone call for the person. It's a bad price for the person that you're calling, because, and I'll tell you this, why people will charge the high prices for that. If I have to take 10 minutes to stop what I'm doing, clean up, look somewhat presentable for a call, take the call for 10 minutes, and then go back, put it back on the clothes I was doing, whatever before that, I've spent a half an hour of my time for a 10-minute appointment. So that's why these people in these courses and other online professional stuff that they're charging you for is at a higher rate. They want to make it worth their time. So it depends on where they are in life. Okay. If you guys got any questions like that bigger shamanical questions, shamanical, I don't always think in English, people. Shamanic questions, write them down, and I can make other videos for that. I do a lot of this because it's raining out here right now a little bit, so I can't do my farm stuff or work with the animals or my boat. So this is where I take the opportunity to do that. And this is why I can offer a lot of services for free or a very, very low price, because I fit that in with the schedules where I can't do anything else and be productive. But write those questions in, subscribe, like, and share if you think this can help other people, because I'm on that shadow ban. A lot of my subscribers say they don't. Look at how many subscribers I have, and most of them are telling me, hey, I'm not getting any notices about you posting new videos. So they have to keep checking, okay? That's about it. Time for me to go back out. Catch you guys later.